Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. We're starting a new series called Ramadan Ready to help you get prepared for Ramadan. We're going to answer all of your questions. And Dr. Shabir, the first question is, what's with the moon? You know, Ramadan is associated with the moon. For an outsider, that might seem really, really strange.
Yes, true. So why the moon? Well, folks, you are probably aware that the months are actually called months because it's related to the moon, and the lunar cycle is approximately 29 to 30 days in length, and that gives us the approximate lengths of our months. Many of us have memorized from childhood 30 days of September, April, June, and November, and so on. So we have increased a couple of days to get to the solar cycle, which is 11 days approximately longer per year than a lunar year. And February remains at 28 days, except for a leap year, in which case it becomes 29. Now, in the ancient world, when people did not have the modern calendars and smartphones that we have, how did they tell time? Well, they counted the lunar cycle. They saw the phases of the moon, and they know that one complete cycle is 1 month. And so the Jewish calendar follows a lot of their religious observances pinned according to that lunar cycle. And a similar thing happened with the religion of Islam. Christianity went a slightly different route, but you will notice that Easter varies, and that's because it is actually basically tied to the lunar cycle, but some adjustments are made to keep that celebration in the spring.
Now, Dr. Shabir, it's not just that Muslims have an interest in the moon during Ramadan, but it's also that a lot of controversy and conflict arises out of that,
Yes.
So I believe there's a hadith of the Prophet that says, fast when you see the moon and stop fasting when you don't see the moon. But then there's so many questions about what that actually means, right? What does it mean you see the moon? Like, who sees the moon, And what does it mean to see the moon? Is it with a telescope? Is it with your naked eye? So there's so many questions and so many ways that Muslims can take the conversation that it has led to a lot of disagreement because people aren't sure whether it should be one day or the other that Ramadan begins.
Yeah. The hadith, as Safiyyah said, does not go into all of these details. It just says in a very brief manner, "Sumu li ru'yatihi wa aftiru li ru'yatihi." Start fasting when you see the one moon, and then break your fast or stop fasting when you see the next one. So that's how we count the beginning of the month. And the Quran is very clear. We don't worship the moon. La tasjudu lishamsi wala lil qamar. Do not prostrate either to the sun or the moon. And the Quran tells us what the purpose of the sun and the moon are. Among the purposes, Allah says in His glorious book, لِتَعْلَمُوا عَدَدَ السِّنِينَ وَالْحِسَابِ, so that you may know the passing of the years and the months. So we know of the passing of the months by the moon, by its appearance and then the next appearance. But we don't worship these items, either the sun or the moon. So we shouldn't make it appear as though we are worshiping these objects. We're just worshiping God. And it is God that we're trying to serve. And the sun and the moon only serve as markers of time. So that with the Earth's rotation around the sun, we know that 1 year has elapsed. With the moon's rotation around the Earth, we know that 1 month has elapsed.
So, Dr. Shabir, what is your advice for people who are in that situation where they're not sure how they should decide the beginning of the month of Ramadan? Because this becomes a big controversy, right? Like, how do you decide? It could be either one day or the other, and it depends. Let's say if you follow Saudi Arabia, if you think fast when you see it means like when you see it in Saudi Arabia, right? Then that would result in a different day of fasting than if you see the moon in Canada, right? Because the moon appears at different times to different parts of the world.
That's right. So my first bit of advice, Safiyyah, is to use the lingo of the youth, take a chill pill. And the reason you have the reason you have to be calm about this is because don't get fired up. This way is right and the other way is wrong. Because these things are not so clearly defined. If they were so clearly defined, we wouldn't have the great scholars of the Muslim world having different opinions about it. But as Safiyyah said, because these things are not specified, whether you need to see it with the naked eye, whether you need to see it in your own locality, whether you need to see it anywhere in the world, and so on. That's why we have different views emerging. So Safiyyah, there are basically, I think, about 3 or 4 different approaches to the question. And all of these approaches have very good arguments going for them. So I would say whatever is being followed in your locality, the major mosque where you attend, just go with that. And yeah, take another chill pill if you need to.
And no moon fighting.
That's right. Exactly. It's moon sighting, not moon fighting.
We'll leave it at that. Join us tomorrow for another episode of Ramadan Ready. How long have you been watching Let the Quran Speak? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Over the past 21 years, we've grown tremendously, from a no-frills, volunteer-driven side project to now the most widely watched Muslim TV show in Canada. And we want you to be part of this journey. Make a contribution on our website, QuranSpeaks.com. Send an e-transfer to igive@QuranSpeaks.com or subscribe monthly at patreon.com/QuranSpeaks. Your contribution is tax deductible and our work is zakat eligible. May God bless you and your loved ones with the very best always, and may you draw ever closer to God this Ramadan.